Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Sword, the Crown Tundra expansion. I'm Nye. We are continuing to explore around, I think this is called, it's a Bolton. We're continuing to explore around Balamir Lake. We are, catching a bunch of stuff, looking for legendary Pokemon, the whole shebang, whole 9 yards, which has been a lot of fun. We're talking about world building, and, I don't know why, this is really interesting. This Emolga is super affectionate towards me. Affection being, a hidden value in a lot of the recent Pokemon games that has to do with how much the Pokemon likes you. It can be affected by walking with them. It can be affected by interacting with them. There's another Tyrunt. I'm not going to bother picking that up right now for my living dex. I'll do that later. Do I have a Whimsicott? But affection will allow Pokemon to do some very stupid things for you. We use it in the Pokemon Let's Go speed run towards the end, getting a super high affection rating with Starmie, so that way it can potentially survive some fights. Affection, among other things, will give you the ability to shrug off an attack like Emolga just did, surviving with 1 HP as if you had the Sturdy trait, or as if you had a Focus Sash. They can get a crit just because they like you. They can ignore a crit just because they like you. They can shrug off status effects. There's all of these... Is that a Starly? I can't tell if this other thing next to me is another Yamper or Starly. But there's a lot of these like weird little effects that can happen because they have high affection. But affection relies on... Oh, okay. But affection requires a lot of different things, and it requires the Pokemon to walk with you a lot. If they're in their party a lot, they can build affection. Having a lot of items being given to them. And I can't quite figure out why this Emolga is so affectionate right now. It may just be in part because I have used so many healing items on it. That does, in a big way, improve affection. And I have used an awful lot of healing items in this Emolga as it continues to take a beating for me. So it's very possible that that is... Oh, hello. We did see a footprint, but I didn't see what color it was. Oh, okay. Oh, darn it. But I really adore world building in games. I like hearing about the world from a very, the stuff that a character takes for granted is the stuff that I generally want to hear about. And it's a really weird thing to say, but if you think about our lives as modern humans, think about like the things that we take for granted. I'm talking about, ready access to cell phones, the fact that we have internet access on a whim for most people. I mean, honestly, if you think, if you put some thought into it, think about when you were a kid and, there was that statement by your math teacher, right? You need to learn how to do this math because you won't always have a, I don't always have a calculator in your pocket. Anybody remember that statement from teachers? And turns out that no, actually you do. Your phone is a calculator, and it is 100% in your pocket all the time. And it just takes care of this stuff for you. You don't even have to worry about it nowadays. It's just there. And that's we take that for granted all the time. We take for granted that we will be in communication with others. People freak out when the internet goes down. Myself included. We got here. August 18th. Under the care of our ancestors' healing ways, the visitor's wounds mended. It shrank back in fear if approached with open palms, so all kept their hands closed in its presence. Once it regained its full strength, the visitor emitted a dazzling blue light that breathed life back into our wilted fields, blessing them with the promise of harvest once more. Perhaps this was its way of showing its gratitude. Oh, whoops. We take for granted a lot of things in modern life, just a lot of these technological marvels. being able to, internet goes down, and we're annoyed when it's not back up within 5 minutes. Telecommunications go down, we expect them to be up and active 100% of the time. It's just something that we're used to. And that happens to kind of anything in life. We're used to having hot food. We're used to having foods from all over the place. I know, there's the joke that, we take for granted that in a single Dorito, we get more nacho cheese flavor than a peasant would have in one bite than a peasant would have in their entire life. And we have all of these flavors we have access to, all of these foods we have access to. There was a meme going around that was talking about how, far from being ashamed of us, our ancestors probably would look at us and we go, wow, they have food all the time, they have safety, they have shelter, they're educated. Our descendants made it. They got everything we could have hoped for. We succeeded in the biggest of ways. In a lot of ways, this is absolutely true. So, thing is, though, a lot of these things are things that I keep on pressing the B button, and I go flying. But these are things we take for granted. We don't really think about them. And so when I look at, it's not that we don't, we think about them, we don't think about them. We comment on these things, but it's not a thing that we'll talk about them, but we talk about them kind of in passing. And we don't talk about them as if they're necessarily an important thing. We talk about them when they become important. So, no one sits and we talk to, wow, aren't you amazed at the internet today? Do you know all of how it assists me today? No, we bitch about the internet when it doesn't work. Like, we talk about how slow it is today, and how, how this, that, and the other thing are not working correctly. We don't talk about it in a positive manner. We don't talk about it in a I mean, it's not positive is not the right word. We don't talk about these things in a amazed manner because we're used to them. We take them for granted. We talk about them when there's something different about them, when there is a unique thing that has changed. But that's about it. But there's a lot of things in a video game, or in a in a video game, in a movie, in a book, insert your given media here. But there's a lot of times where something will happen, and it should be something that minor characters discuss and talk about. There should be a discussion. There should be questions and interaction. And it just doesn't quite happen. And it's one of those things that very much, not bothers me, but it kind of immediately makes me sit back and go, maybe this piece of media is not right for me, because it doesn't have that interest that I do. Tyrantrum, the despot Pokemon. This Pokemon is from about 100 million years ago. It has the presence of a king, vicious but magnificent. Well, we don't have to evolve the Tyrant anymore. Where'd that go? There it is. 1, 2... Okay, that can go there. Okay, so we are currently on the lookout for another thing. I don't know, maybe, I might be asking too much out of, I think it was, what, Dragalge? Nope, Ponyta? Can't tell. Don't actually care, though. I'll admit that I might be asking too much out of a video game designer to put this in there. Especially for more minor games where, there might not be much of a world building, or there might not be that much of, interaction or discussion. And it does require a certain level of good writing. You know, it's very easy to force this sort of thing. It's very easy to feel, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very easy to feel fake with this sort of discussion. Because it feels forced. You know, why are you talking about this? Why are you so happy? But, you know, being able to, you can easily have, to use an example I used earlier, you know, you can easily have a, what is that? Is that a... Oh, it's a corpus bar. Okay. For some reason, it just didn't look right. But you can very easily have, like, you know, a cook, like, feel the need or feel the interest in reaching out to someone else and go, man, I'm really appreciative of my Charmander who's been using his tail to help heat up my stove. That's a, you know, you take for granted that Pokemon help, but all of a sudden this is above and beyond what you would necessarily expect. It's more than the usual. It becomes the unusual, and therefore it's commented on. But it also gives us a little bit of that, you know, a little bit of that glimpse into the world, right? It gives us a little bit of that idea that, oh, hey, so the Charmander's helping, which is something it can do, but that's not necessarily a usual thing. You know, this might be unusual, or maybe that's usual for others, because if her Charmander helps, or his Charmander helps, why would I not expect another cook to have that sort of thing? And then all of a sudden it starts raising questions, and it starts kind of coming up in the player's imagination that, well, wait a second, if Charmander is doing this now, is this not a thing that, you know, maybe before there were electric stoves or gas stoves, was this something that maybe a more, you know, medieval Pokemon society, you know, was used to? Was this more common back then? Would you reach out to and ask a Cryogonal and train it to keep your food cold in the summer before refrigerators were a thing? And then it also brings up other questions. You know, it's kind of a fascinating bit of world building, and I do see this show up in some books and some things. But if that's a thing, like if Cryogonal freezes food for you, why did you develop a refrigerator in the first place? What was the impetus for the scientific advancement that led to refrigeration technology if you already had the ability to freeze your food? So there's kind of these very interesting questions that can come up, and they can be in the pure realm of, you know, extended universe and fan fiction, stuff like that. But these are definitely things that can be put into games or put into media without having to be especially out of place. I was recently reading, rereading, really. I was rereading Jim Butcher's Codex Alara books, and in the Codex Alara books, there is a one of the main staples of that universe is that this is a grave. Words are carved into this ancient tombstone. Spread my voice. Not really sure what that means. But one of the staples of this universe, of this world, is that there are creatures known as Furies that are kind of elemental spirits that everybody uses, and some people use them more than others. And things like an Earth Fury is helpful to summon power from the Earth, and this will make someone who has an Earth Fury and a strong link to Earth Furies is naturally stronger than someone who does not. And so, very interesting stuff. And so that kind of leads to, you know, Earth Fury wielding people make for make for good dock workers and things like that. But there was also, apparently, in order to do their version of refrigeration, they took fire furies, and they taught fire furies to suck in heat. And sucking in heat became how, a cold stone. They infused these furies into stones, and sucking in heat meant that everything around it was colder than it would otherwise be, which directly led to refrigeration. And that's a very cool way to, no pun intended, but it's a very fascinating way to kind of give refrigeration to a pre-electric society. Ice doesn't have to be there. You don't need ice, because ice is hard to get in certain areas. If you can just generate cold by access to this other thing that you have. So, super interesting world building. And it came up because some character needed access to the ability to create cold all of a sudden. Tortuga's evolving. I find it fascinating. I love when games do this. And there's just little things that show up from time to time. Tortuga evolved into Caracosta, the proto-turtle Pokemon. Caracosta completely devours its prey, bone, shells, and all. Because of this, Caracosta's own shell grows thick and sturdy. We also just found Anorith, the old shrimp Pokemon. This Pokemon was restored from a fossil. It lived in the ocean about 100 million years ago, hunting with its pair of claws. Go ahead and do some adjustments here. So Caracosta goes here. So one of the problems is that I am playing in a very specific version of the game. I am playing in Sword version, and there's going to be there's going to be some distinct problems there because I don't have access to certain pokes. So we're going to have to figure out how to swap in from Shield. There are a number of pokes that I need, and I'm assuming that probably half the various like fossil Pokemon are only available in Shield. So I'm thinking about like Lily and so on. Might be able to trade for them. We were talking about this Pokemon, the other episode, actually. We were talking about, we were having a discussion about the original findings of the Reggie series. And you had it to get a Relicanth in order to do that. Wow! Oh, that's annoying. The recoil's a little bit helpful, because it means I'm going to have to bring it down less. I'm a little bit, mildly worried about Relicanth somehow accidentally killing itself. Definitely an issue sometimes. It's also a rock Pokemon. So, unfortunately, False Swipe does not affect it as nicely as I would like it to. It'd be nice if there was a False Swipe in another element, in another typing. Maybe a Psychic type False Swipe, maybe a Ghost type. Something that isn't just normal. That way you have an option when you are facing one of those types that resists normal. I'm trying to think of some other games that did this sort of thing well and then didn't do it well. I think one of the, to be honest, and trying not to meme too hard on it, but I think one of the reasons I love Final Fantasy XIV so much is that there is a good amount of this world building in there. People discuss current events, NPCs do respond to the things that are going on right now, and there both is and isn't, right? There might be this gigantic threat upon the world, and then some NPCs just don't care. But a lot of NPCs, they do care about current ongoing events. They do have discussions about it. They do kind of talk about it. There's a good amount of, let's talk about these monsters and how they impact things. There are names for various things. There's backgrounds. Lots of areas of the map actually have stories to them. And that sounds like a small thing, but Relicanth, the longevity Pokemon. Rock-hard scales and oil-filled swim bladders allow this Pokemon to survive the intense water pressure of the deep sea, but it's on the surface for some reason. But I love that Final Fantasy does that. It's one of the things that I appreciate the most. You know, I also appreciate that the NPCs do have a familiarity of you as the, you know, the hero of all, the one who saves everybody's butt time and time again. There are NPCs who are aware of this and kind of comment on it. TR65, the Energy Ball. There are NPCs that kind of comment on the fact that you've saved them time and time again. What is this? There's just a cooking pot here for absolutely no reason. Can't interact with it. It doesn't do anything. It just exists. Okay. But it is definitely appreciated that there are... There are NPCs that absolutely, you know, kind of know about you as the hero and kind of comment onto you. And they ask about your adventures and, you know, they want to know about what you've been up to. And these are absolutely amazing things. These are things that I do want to, know about. Like, I want to hear about that. You know, if I'm going out of my way to save the world, I definitely feel as if there is some level of time where people should be commenting on this. People should know that this hero saved the day. It should be out there. So there are a lot of games that are better than other games about, damn, that sucks, about doing this. You know, and some of them are just a purely environmental thing. I was watching some gameplay of, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze recently, which, this gameplay, among others, has convinced me that I want to play the game too. But this gameplay of Donkey Kong did, Dratini, the dragon Pokemon. Dratini dwells near bodies of rapidly flowing water, such as the plunge pools of waterfalls. As it grows, Dratini will shed its skin many times. Go ahead and add Dratini to our party in replacement of this Relicanth. But they're showing level design, and the levels are, all they're doing are just interesting platforming experiences, to be 100% fair. We'll come back to this in a second. I don't know what that was supposed to be. These are just very interesting platform experiences. But you're watching and exploring around a juicing factory, and it's in the Donkey Kong universe, there's all they have are like barrels and gears and stuff. So you're watching these gigantic, weird, interesting looking machines that are picking fruits and juicing them and all kinds of stuff. And this is, this doesn't sound like a big deal, and honestly, it really isn't. But it's kind of fascinating because it's kind of this unique look that's kind of based on the kind of concepts that are already in the game, based on kind of the history of the Donkey Kong Country games. You had to see a very kind of Germany and Austria-based area with gigantic horns on the wall, like hunting horns and beer steins and stuff. And all this is very interesting, and it kind of builds up to a world. And this is kind of in a sequence where there is in a game where there are no words in these games, right? There's no actual dialogue. So it doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you have no dialogue in a game, you have to build the world in some other way. And, very fascinating visuals are obviously one very easy way to build that up. I forget, do we have an Aaron R on? I'm pretty sure we do, but I want to double check. Nope. Wow. So many of these Pokemon that I was sure I'd gotten already. But there's definitely this this distinct world building that is done, again, entirely without words, just by kind of showing the surroundings, these places that you're just kind of jumping off of. There are, you know, ancient relics, and there's, you know, underground or underwater, you know, ruins, stuff like that. And this builds this kind of interesting world. And it's so easy for various gaming properties to do some of these things, like the ancient ruins that are mysterious. It's too damn easy to do them. You know, by itself, an ancient ruin is not amazingly interesting. You need something else to be part of the story. But they do lead to questions, and some of those questions are easy to answer, such as, you know, why do we have this factory? Well, everybody likes fruit juice. But what are these ancient ruins? Maybe not so easy to answer, but it does kind of build to more of the world. Aaron, the Iron Armor Pokemon. It eats iron ore and sometimes railroad tracks to build up the steel armor that protects its body. We'll pull that out a little bit later, because I do need to evolve that. We're also on the lookout for more tracks of the cave Pokemon. Bolton, you are seriously irritating. There is plenty of that. I absolutely adore seeing this in games. I don't see it in enough of them. And there's, you know, definitely a good variety. Ratchet & Clank was a good example of games doing this both well and not well simultaneously. You know, you have situations where there's a lot of talk about things that go on around. There's talk about, you know, what Ratchet & Clank do after they've saved the world once or twice, and, you know, their hero downtime and all of that. And that's a really fun discussion. And there's also discussions of, like, you know, what are these what are all these gun companies actually doing? Like, how else do they, you know, how else do they make their money? There's a lot of these little things about that, and it just kind of drops it later on. You know, it wasn't that important at the end of the day. I think that's one of the things that the newer Ratchet & Clank game, the 2016 version on the PS4, I think that was one of the things that the 2016 version did that was kind of positive, is that it kind of built up more of a kind of a history, more kind of a surrounding thing to build into this mythos. You know, you might be one of those people who, there's plenty of these people, and there's no shame in being one of them. I just disagree with you. Plenty of people who don't like the new Ratchet & Clank series, you know, who, you know, feel that it was too major of a departure. No shame in that. I disagree, but I think that's fine. But I think that is one of those things that did make the new game much more interesting. Was that they had more of this world building in there. We need more of that. Kind of on the flip side, you know, a game that does it badly, or does badly, the Kingdom Hearts series. The Kingdom Hearts series is terrible about this. Most people, there's kind of not much reaction to, you know, to Heartless. Like, it's only very specifically, like, the people you are directly interacting with. There's not a lot of world building around that. So you have the moment where Sora bursts onto the scene, and he's having the discussion with, you know, such and such a person about, oh, hey, there's Heartless, they're here to attack you, I'm gonna go deal with it. And then that's it, that's the end of the discussion. You know, there's no question on, well, why are they here? Why are they attacking us? What are they? You know, none of that really exists. It's just, I'm here to do a thing, and now I'm gone. Here to stay, gone tomorrow. And then if you go look at you know, Skies of Arcadia, another one of my absolute favorite RPGs, I don't think they ever refer to the monsters at all. Like, there's kind of no talk about all of these weird monsters that are all over the world attacking us. What is this boss? I don't know. What are these giant sky bosses? I don't know. You know, like they talk about the Gigas, and that's really about it. There's no discussion on all of these other things that we're fighting. Like you look at something like the you know, the sequence in oh god, why do I not have names? In Valua, when you're underground, it's Lyron, the iron armor Pokemon. Lyron live in mountains brimming with spring water and iron ore, so these Pokemon often come into conflict with humans in the past. But you go look at you know, the Valuan section of the game. Very specifically, you're looking at the section. Okay, I need to heal because I wanna grab this guy. We're talking about the section where you're saving your dad and the rest of the crew from the Valuan Coliseum, and just before you go and save your dad from the Executioner. The Executioner being a boss who makes perfect sense. He's the Executioner. Okay, got it. Moving on. But just before you fight the Executioner, you fight Blygok. And Blygok is this kind of disgusting disgusting creature made of like goo with floating skulls in him, and he lives underneath the Executioner ground, where presumably the Executioner was putting bodies down there. So the implied reason why Blygok exists is that it is a monster that was eating the bodies of, you know, executed prisoners. And this is a completely understandable explanation, but it's something I had to make up. Like, no one in the game at any point references, you know, Blygok in any way. If you go to the island of Decat, where you're getting Decat's treasure, and there is Destra and Sinistra as the boss, who are defending the treasure, there's nothing. There's no lore about what that is, but we have this strange pair of bosses. Here goes Anorith leveling up, or evolving. We have this strange pair of bosses. They're just defending this treasure, and we don't know what they are or why they're there. There's no lore whatsoever. And this is a game that there is all kinds of little pieces of lore everywhere. At the same time, this is Anorith, or Armaldo, sorry, the plate Pokemon. After evolution, this Pokemon emerged onto land. Its lower body has become stronger, and blows from its tail are devastating. We also just captured Aggron, the iron armor Pokemon. Aggron has a horn sharp enough to perforate thick iron sheets. It brings down its opponents by ramming into them horn first. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for a second, guys. I'll be continuing this rant as we move on, but I think now is a great time to take a break for a moment. So I'm gonna hold off here. I will catch you guys in a minute where we will continue to have this discussion. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I do love you all, and I will see you guys next time.